Welcome back to the latest installment of Tempo Storm's deck introductions. Today we're talking about everyone's favorite class, Shaman. With the departure of Tunnel Trog and Totem Golem from Standard, the Hearthstone community initially rejoiced. Shaman had been the most powerful class for a very long time. Since the release of Ungoro, Shaman's power level had been pretty tame. Regardless of Blizzard's multiple attempts to power down the class, Shaman continues to be a powerful deck in a Hearthstone meta. The latest meta snapshot highlights a new Shaman archetype, Token Shaman. This deck fills the board with minions and ends the match with a massive Bloodlust attack. Token Shaman was first popularized at the HCT Spring Playoffs as an evolved Shaman variety piloted by Frozen, The Rat, Astrogation, and a handful of others. This deck was renamed Token Shaman. Since then, the deck has continued to climb the meta snapshot and now sits at the number 2 slot in Tier 1. Token Shaman is a linear deck by nature, which allows decks like Control Mage to prey upon it, which is part of the reason why Control Mage is still at the top of Tier 1. The Token Shaman floods the board with cheap minions and minion generators to gain an early lead. Using the deck's momentum is paramount for victory. The mulligan phase for Token Shaman is simple. Always keep Firefly, Jade Claws, and Bloodsail Corsair, especially in an aggressive matchup. Mulligan away Evolve, Patches, and anything that costs 3 mana or more. Devolve can be kept against an opponent who is likely to have Doomsayer in their deck or an aggressive opponent. On the topic of aggro decks, the goal is to be more aggressive on the board by using proactive answers. In most cases, you'll want to play minions first and then maintain control with cards like Maelstrom Portal, Jade Lightning, and Jade Claws. When facing a mid-range or control deck, you should try to gain as much tempo as possible without overextending on the board or emptying your hand. Your hero power is really useful in these matchups because of its effect with Thing from Below and its ability to get minions on the board. Bloodlust allows you to turn an underwhelming board presence into an easy win if your opponents aren't careful enough. The first tip to keep in mind when playing Token Shaman is to realize that you should rarely go all in. Be sure to have some refill mechanism at all times, especially in a control matchup. When facing an aggressive matchup, it's more acceptable to go wider on the board. If an aggro player is forced to clear your minions before going face, you're winning the game. The second tip involves Stonehill Defender. In a control matchup, don't be afraid to pick another Stonehill Defender if no other choice is viable. Your goal is to secure a late game minion like Alakir or Earth Elemental, pressure your opponent, and protect your board. For an aggressive matchup, play for tempo and to fill out your curve. Playing Stonehill Defender on turn 3 or 5 is optimal to defend your minions on board. If Stonehill Defender is played on turn 5, try and select a 2-drop to play with it if available. The third and final tip for piloting Token Shaman is to go face. In the end, you're an aggressive deck. Force your opponents to deal with your threats. Trade when you can get value or kill valuable minions like Mana Worm or Sorcerer's Apprentice, but while playing around threats is often a good idea, sometimes you need to force your opponents to have it, instead of assuming that they do. The major tech decisions according to the meta snapshot are as follows. Against aggro decks, Token Shaman cuts Doppelganger and Evolve for Galaka Crawler and Lightning Storm. Against control, consider cutting Devolve for Jade Chieftain. If you're facing lots of mages on ladder, consider an Eater of Secrets. Doppelgangster and Evolve can be removed for an elemental package that includes Hot Spring Guardian and Calamos. Calamos adds an Onyxia-like effect for Bloodlust, but has more utility. This deck is extremely linear and allows for players to easily pick up the deck and excel. Be sure to adjust your deck appropriately to what your opponents are playing on the ladder at your rank. If you're interested in how this archetype is fitting in with the rest of the meta right now, don't forget to check out our most recent Tempo Storm meta snapshot. And as always, please leave us a like on the video if you enjoy it, and join the discussion in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe to stay up to speed with all of Tempo Storm's news and Hearthstone content.